What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel. Week 2 takeaways. It was another very busy weekend of college football. And here are some of my bigger takeaways from week 2 of the college football season. We're going to talk about everything from Texas's dominant win over the Alabama Crimson Tide to a couple teams that now are going to be thick in their conference title races. But before we dive into that, guys, thank you so much for the support the channel has seen over the past however long. It's really just been amazing to me. If you guys want to continue to show your support, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell so you know when videos get uploaded. But there are more things that you guys can do to help me support my channel. You guys are doing one of them right now by watching the video, and you guys can do more by liking, commenting, sharing, anything else you guys are willing and or able to do. Tell me support my channel would mean a lot to me. So again, it was another busy week in college football. It was an upset-filled Saturday night, and there are a lot of big wins throughout the week. So we're going to talk about my personal 5 biggest takeaways. Again, I say this in every takeaway video. There are a lot more takeaways that you could have taken away from this week that are just not on my list. And some things that other people have taken away might have been things that like I kind of already had figured out or I thought were going to happen. But these are my 5 biggest takeaways from week 2 of the college football season. And the 5th one, I think, just emphasized the fact that this year's college football playoff field is wide open. I mean, there are any number of teams that you can set up there to make the college football playoff. In my opinion, really, if you go look at the AP poll, which I'm going to pull up here right now, but if you go ahead and you look at that AP poll, by the way, my top 25 comes out earlier today. Really, in my opinion, guys, if you look, I mean, there's a considerable path for every single team in the top 25 to make the college football playoff. Of course, some are going to be more likely than others, but legitimately, guys, I mean, you look at the usual contenders entering this year: Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, Tennessee. Those are still teams that can make the playoff. The Pac-12 is loaded with them. We'll talk about that conference here in a little bit. Florida State, Texas were some hot picks that are really starting to prove themselves now. Even some teams like Penn State is there. Kansas State is there. Guys, this is a playoff field that truly is wide open. And I know there are a lot of predictions, including my own, that I threw out there at the beginning of the season, guys. I feel like this year there's just going to be something unexpected that is going to happen. And there may be 2 teams that we were like, whoa, did not see that coming entering the college football playoff. This playoff field is just wide open. This year is going to be full of excitement, and I can't wait to see how this playoff field ends up shaking out, guys. There are so many teams. There are so many paths. It really is a wide open year for the college football playoff, which is what makes it exciting. Again, last year for 4 teams. Next year we move into 12. Very exciting to have a wide open field like we do this year. So my number 4 takeaway from the week, again, I forgot I have to click over there. Washington State and Oregon State. I think they deserve serious Power 5 consideration. I know the talk right now as these are the only 2 teams left in what people are calling the Pac-2, right? Every other team out of the Pac-12 conference has found a new home. These are the only 2 teams that are left. And while both of these 2 squads had big wins this past weekend, again, Oregon State beat San Jose State the week prior. This week, they absolutely demolished up on UC Davis as they were supposed to do. But Washington State may very well have had the bigger win. In fact, they definitely did have the bigger win. In week 1, they ended up traveling on the road to play Colorado State, the game that they easily handled and scored a ton of points. And then you were able to just go manhandle Wisconsin. Maybe not manhandle. The Badgers did make it interesting as of late, but for the most part, you really were able to slow down what the Badgers were able to do. I mean, only 90 rushing yards out of this Wisconsin team. Braylon Allen was limited to only 20 yards. Ches Malusi on 12 carries only had 49 yards. Even Tanner Mordecai struggled to get out of the pocket and run when he needed to. Washington State did a really good job at limiting what the Wisconsin Badgers were able to do. But here is my point in putting this on the list, right? Washington State and Oregon State are the only 2 teams without a home right now. Now, who knows what they may do? They may go join the American Athletic. They may go join the Mountain West, both of which seem pretty likely to me. Or talks now where they're going to try to revamp the Pac-12, maybe but with a Mountain West merger. Technically the same thing, but different. However you really want to explain that. But these are 2 schools that if I were the Big 12, the ACC, the SEC, I would take a substantial look at these. Maybe not like the SEC. But if I were some of these other conferences out here, I would take another substantial look. This whole entire Pac-12 conference, I think, is making a lot of people do a double take, because I think the narrative that the Pac-12 is a weak conference is absolutely getting blown out the window. I mean, just ball it up, toss it in the garbage can, and then burn it, right? Like, the Pac-12 is not a weak conference because they have 8 teams in the AP top 25, guys. That is 2/3 of that conference. I know the conference will not be together next year, but man, guys, I mean, these two schools and these two programs in general, I think, deserve some conversation to be considered in a Power 5 program. Now, is my prediction that they're going to get there? I think, again, likely the American Athletic or the Mountain West is where they're going to go. But the Pac-12 as a whole, guys, not a weak conference. There are some very, very strong teams in there that will be playing in other conferences next year, but these are two of them, and they deserve Power 5 football. And they deserve Power 5 football. Now, again, is that what they're going to get? Remains to be seen, but that is what I believe. That was a big takeaway for me from week number 2. As we move on in here to my third takeaway, let's start talking about some actual teams in depth. Guys, Kansas. First of all, that picture on the left there, when I saw that picture, I'm like, man, that picture goes hard. But Kansas, I think, will be deep in the conversation for a Big 12 title run, as they absolutely just demolished the Illinois Fighting Illini, especially in that first half. Now, Luke Altmaier looked pretty solid. He was able to throw the ball and run the ball, but not without his turnover problems, right? And really, what happened here in this game was just, my apologies, an absolute demolishing and an absolute mauling. Kansas really was able to take it to Illinois. They were pretty much able to do whatever they want. Jalen Daniels, this was his first game this season, did not play last week against Missouri State. This past game, or I guess didn't play the week prior against Missouri State. This week prior, when they played the Illinois Fighting Illini, he was great. 21-29, 277 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Ended up having only 11 carries for 24 yards, but didn't really have to do much on the ground. I mean, Devin Neal, Daniel Highshaw, that's a very, very, very underrated 1-2 punch in the running back room, and you've got some absolute ballers in the wide receiver room as well. Lawrence Arnold, Luke Grimm, Jared Casey and Torrey Loughlin both ended up getting those touchdown catches. Those are their only catches of the evening. But, I mean, when I take a look at this Kansas team, top to bottom, guys, I even think that defense played really, really well. And I think that defense has definitely taken a step up from where it was in the previous years. And, I mean, first of all, just look at the jerseys here. Oh, beautiful. Love the black jerseys. This team is going to go far. I think a lot of people I thought a lot of people in the preseason were a little high on Kansas, saying they could be in the Big 12 title race. Well, now I believe it, right? I believe that Kansas are one of the few teams in the Big 12 that will compete for a Big 12 title, or at least be in the conversation and be in the mix to be in the Big 12 title game as the season rolls along. I thought this Kansas team looked really, really good. I'm excited to watch the Jayhawks moving forward. So we'll come back to the Big 12 in a minute, because I think you guys know what my number one takeaway was from this week. But let's now talk about Super Mario and the Miami Hurricanes. What an impressive performance that was against the Texas A&M Aggies, and not only from the coaching staff, not only from Mario Cristobal's team, but from a certain player as well, and that's Tyler Van Dyke, guys. Really started to get criticized about the way that he was playing, about some of the decisions that he was making. Well, seems like a new offensive coordinator, some new players around him, really was what he needed to be able to explode. He was only 21 of 30, so didn't throw that much compared to what Connor Weigman did in this game. He threw 53 passes, completed 31 of them, 336 yards. But Tyler Van Dyke outgained Connor Weigman, 374 yards, 5 touchdowns. Xavier Restrepo, 6 catches for 126 yards. Jacoby George was absolutely huge in this game. For them, 5 catches, 94 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had an absolutely electric game. Colby Young and Isaiah Horton, the other 2 guys that ended up getting into the end zone for this Miami team. But guys, I was very impressed from what I saw from this Miami Hurricanes team. Offensively, defensively, they were able to do a lot of really nice things there as well. Did not generate as much pressure as I would have liked to the quarterback. I do not believe they had a sack in this game here against Texas A&M, guys. But I'm a firm believer now in that the Miami Hurricanes are going to have a very nice, very good bounce back year. And for the second week in a row, I'm talking about a team, much like I did with the Duke Blue Devils last week, that the Miami Hurricanes could be a team absolutely that you are going to see in the ACC championship game. Put them in consideration, along with, again, Duke. Clemson, I still think can get there, although they have a lot of problems. And, of course, Florida State, who a lot of people have as a top 5 team in the nation. Some people may even have them at number 1. This Miami Hurricanes team is for real. Mario Cristobal is going to massively improve this team from last year. And when we look on the other side of the ball against Texas A&M, who knows what this game really leads to? There were a lot of nice things that happened, some turnovers, some penalties that you can clean up. So we'll see what happens with the Aggies moving forward. But all that I know, guys, are the Hurricanes are here, and they are for real. So believe the hype surrounding this Miami program. But, guys, I think you all know where this was going. My final biggest takeaway is Texas. Yes, Texas is finally back. They're a top 5 team in the nation, and the Longhorns are going to be in the thick of the college football playoff race. Jalen Milroe, the hype was real coming out of the Middle Tennessee game. He looked really good and just did a lot of running around in this game. Couldn't really get off some nice clean passes. Give credit to this Texas defensive front. They provided a whole ton of pressure. They had 5 sacks, 9 tackles for loss. They looked really, really good in this game, did the Texas defense. But when you talk about the Texas offense here, guys, I mean, what a breakout performance. What a breakout performance this was. Did the hair change something in Quinn Ewers? Maybe. That's a conspiracy theory going around. Maybe. But he was 24 of 38 for 349 yards, 3 touchdowns. Jonathan Brooks, C.J. Baxter were pretty solid at the running back room, but this game was really won through the pass game of Quinn Ewers. A.D. Mitchell got in the end zone twice. Xavier Worthy had a good game. Jatavion Sanders, that tight end, was the leader in receiving yards for this team, had 5 catches for 114 yards, including a 50-yard catch. That's the longest throw that Quinn Ewers had in this game. And again, the thing that I was more impressed with in this game, I think we knew this Texas offense was explosive. I think we knew they had weapons in the wide receiver room. And even though Bijan Robinson, Roschon Johnson are not with this team, that's a running back room that's still pretty solid and can absolutely hold up their own against anyone they play. But this defense, guys, that was the question about this Texas team. We knew the defense had been taking steps in the right direction, but on the road in Bryant-Denny Stadium, one of the toughest places to play in the country, and we all know Nick Saban's record against former assistant coaches, and we all know Nick Saban's record at home in Bryant-Denny Stadium. Texas was able to overcome both of those things. Steve Sarkisian, of course, a former Alabama offensive coordinator, now hands Nick Saban his 3rd loss, only 3rd to former assistant coaches, and hands him one of very few losses that he will ever have in his career at home here in Bryant-Denny Stadium. So all credit to Texas. What a performance from the Texas Longhorns. Now, guys, the Alabama team here is not done. They will adjust. They will come back. And I still believe that Alabama can absolutely be a team here that can be able to get into the college football playoff race. There's definitely a path. This team is too talented, especially defensively. You got some pretty good weapons offensively. Leave it to Jalen Milroe to kind of figure some things out there, right? Again, he was running for his life a lot, couldn't really throw the ball, but give credit to this Texas defensive front here. They did an absolutely phenomenal job. Texas will be in the thick of the playoff race, and they're a top 5 team right now. Little spoiler for my top 25 video coming out earlier, or I should say later today. But guys, that is my week 2 takeaways. I hope you all enjoyed. If you have any other takeaways, leave them in the comment section down below, or if you want to add something onto these. And hey, remember to play hard but tailgate harder. I'll see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.